Selena Douglas, and today we're going to be turtle tagging as part of a turtle conservation effort, a wider initiative called STEAL, Sustaining Turtles, Environment, Economy, and Livelihoods. My turtle tagging journey was led by Dr. Shannon Gore of the BVI Association of Reef Keepers, also known as ARK. Dr. Shannon began by giving me the brief history of turtle tagging in the Caribbean and why we do it in the BVI.
So the reason that we tag is it gives them an identification number so that when we recapture it, we know either where this turtle was before or how much it's grown, the overall health of it. We're looking at a number of different things. Without tagging, we would never be able to identify, how many turtles do we have in this particular bay? Because people can look out, they all look the same. But it's interesting, when you see them up close, they all have very different features that are pretty cool to see. Back in the 1990s, Cuba wanted to start exporting hawksbills to Japan. And because they are protected under the Convention of the International Trade of Endangered Species, all the different signatory countries had to vote whether or not they could do this. The reason Japan wanted the hawksbill shells is because they're it's a prized shell. A lot of artisans make them into reading glasses, jewelry boxes, just all kinds of trinkets. They've been doing it for centuries. And they had been cut off when CITES came into play, I guess in the 1970s. But because the UK knew nothing about their turtle populations in the UK overseas territories in the Caribbean, that's Bermuda, Anguilla, Cayman, Montserrat, Turks and Caicos, BVI. So a 3-year project was launched under the University of Exeter. And that's when we really started to understand our turtle population.
Dr. Shannon also told me how the Turtles of the Caribbean initiative evolved into today's STEAL project.
So after the Turtles of the Caribbean Overseas Territories project ended a number of years ago, afterwards we actually got another project that was looking specifically at Anegada for another 3 years. But once that ended and we had all this information about our turtles, we knew that we needed to update the legislation, implement better conservation measures, beach management, just all kinds of different measures that would help increase the population here. So after many, many years and working with the Marine Conservation Society UK, we finally received this grant in 2020. It's a Darwin Initiative grant, 3-year UK funded. It's with Marine Conservation Society UK, ARK, in collaboration with the government of the Virgin Islands and University of Exeter. This project is really looking at helping make the recommendations for legislative reform, but also we're going to be updating, it's a Sea Turtle Recovery Action Plan. The original one was written in 1991, 1992, so it's obviously very outdated.
She also noted how the STEAL initiative intends to use the voices of the community to tackle the polarized issue of turtle conservation.
One of the ways that we're going to do this is because kind of the whole situation with sea turtles, it's very polarized. There's very strong opinions about being able to see the turtles out in the wild versus having the fishery. And trying to sit down with both groups together, it doesn't quite work like that. So what we're doing is we're going to be using the community voice method, where we actually go out into the community and we ask them questions and we film them. Once we're done with the filming, we put it through a program, everything's transcribed, and the really major key points, they're pulled out. And whoever says it most eloquently, we piece it together in a documentary. So when we go into the communities and we show the film, people really start to understand everybody else's opinion. So at the end of the day, we can sit down and actually have a conversation. So it's the legislation, the management plans, they're all going to come from the community, which is very different from in the past, where it's the government comes in, lays down these laws, but this way it's getting really the community involved. It is a shared resource, so management should be shared as well.
After being briefed on the proper turtle catching technique, I dove in myself to see what I could spot. However, soon after, a turtle was caught. When a turtle is caught, Dr. Shannon begins by recording the turtle's measurements, where the turtle was found, and checking for previous tags, among other things.
So we will put a pit tag in. And sometimes we can if we can see the shell,
Like this one, I'll remember that this is me with the extra screws.
So you can tell them apart from distinctive features on the shell, or some of them?
Some of them, yeah. Like the one with the big...
Yeah, right, I mean...
Yeah, and there's a couple over in Virgin Gorda that have... I don't know if it was a barracuda, but like a really small but massive chunk taken out, so...
Do you often see the same residents?
There's some that we've caught 5, 6, 10 years later in the exact same spot, which is really cool. And what was really interesting was before the hurricanes, there were a couple that we captured and tagged. And then after the hurricanes, they were in the exact same spot.
Wow.
Where they went during the hurricanes, I mean, that's kind of an interesting question, but
For them to go
they
back.
they have such strong, it's called strong site fidelity. They love, if they find a spot, they're going to stay there.
Okay.
And they're going to stay there for years and years and years.
Gotcha.
Does this hurt?
It's like getting a shot.
Yes, in the air.
Sometimes it hurts us more than their skin is super tough as well. So the pit tag is just the same thing that you would have for your dog or cat. So if your dog or cat wanders off and somebody scans it, they can find out who owns it. This just identifies the turtle for us.
When tagging was completed, I was given the opportunity to assist with releasing the turtle, whom we named Umi, back into the sea.
You want to immerse in the water? Let's head out. You'll see.
After observing the tagging of a few more turtles, I caught up with the guys who shared with me how they got involved in ARK and their turtle tagging journey thus far.
Well, about maybe 2.5 years ago, I learned to dive, swim and dive. So one time I went out coral treatments, and that's where I met Dr. Shannon Gore. And ever since that day, I was harassing her all the time, just messaging her, just ambitiously messaging her. And she dragged me along to her tagging, and that was it. That's how I got involved.
Shannon asked us to help out when during like the pandemic, when the territory was closed to tourism. She asked us if we could help out, and we just volunteered and thought it was fun. Took up time during the pandemic and just carried on from there.
It was difficult. It's a lot more swimming than we thought. It's not just a basic free dive, and there's a really big learning curve because I was never really around it. Like Shannon's been doing it for years, so she knew the behaviors. So after a couple of trips, once you learn those behaviors, you know what to look for and how to approach them and the different things that way.
So tell me what it was like when you caught your first turtle.
It was very tiring. It was right here, actually. It was very tiring, and we fought for a while. We fought. It cut me, gave me a cut, but the hardest part was actually after you caught it and bringing it back. That was the hardest part, but there's a feeling of satisfaction after the fact.
It takes a long time to understand how the turtles behave. So there was probably at least 4 or 5 trips that we did before we caught a turtle.
Coming in from not really knowing anything about them to being able to tell the difference in sizes and everything is pretty nice to know, especially in being a dive instructor and being able to talk to clients and guests about it as well as helped that way. And it's a little bit of a competition now, so we like to pull each other's legs about who catches the most turtles and who catches the biggest turtle.
They're very strong, even the small, you've seen, even the small ones, they're very strong and heavy, and they love to fight. Particularly, they don't like Jason. So they would be like super calm, and then Jason would come next to him, and it was just like, no, get away from me. So
they pick up on vibes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we dive deep, we have to help each other out, especially with the big ones. It can get pretty scary at times.
How so?
Sometimes, well, they're very powerful animals, so they can like out-strengthen you very quickly. And if not careful, you can stay underwater a lot longer than we should. So adrenaline kicks in and adrenaline takes over, and that's kind of what happens and what makes you go back to the surface. Hopefully you have a turtle as well.
The crew, the chemistry with the crew, with Jason, Matt, Doc, the chemistry is great. Exploring underwater worlds and just being out there and giving back the scientific side of it, learning so much about turtles, and we're all learning here too. So I do like that.
No, I mean, we really enjoy it. It's something we look forward to whenever we get the call or the chance to do it, because it's something different. And it's something that I think will benefit the community, conservation, and the more people that know about it, the better it'll be.
At the end of our turtle tagging adventure, I asked Dr. Shannon how others can get involved in ARK, turtle tagging, and other conservation efforts.
And finally, if people want to get involved, if people really care about turtles, what are some practices or things that they can do, whether it's volunteering or just little things like numbers they can call if they see a turtle? How are ways that people can help?
That's a good one. Nesting turtles. Anybody that ever sees any kind of tracks, or if they see a turtle nesting, or if they see hatchlings coming out of a beach, let us know. On the website, it's www.bviark.org. There's a way that you can contact us through that, or you can WhatsApp my number, or ARK's number. You can email us at info@bviark.org. You know, it's the more information that we have, especially about nesting turtles, it's really important to us. Even if you see an injured turtle, let us know, because we do have ways that we can get somebody out there and we can take care of it. It's funny because everybody wants to come out turtle tagging, and nobody quite understands that it is a lot of hard work. I would ask people more to help us with, doing beach walks, letting us know, if they see turtles somewhere. It's so much like actually coming out. We've had a few people that we've tried out, and even they've been like, this is so much work. But if there is somebody that, if you think that you can swim for half an hour chasing a turtle and then dive down 30 feet, pick up an angry 30, 40-pound turtle, then yeah, we'll try. But you cannot be afraid of the water, so it's...
And if that's the case, they contact ARK.
Yeah.
Okay.
And while Dr. Shannon is right about turtle tagging being hard work, at the end of my time out at sea with ARK, it was evident to me the importance of more Virgin Islanders getting involved in the conservation of our environment for future generations, whether that's diving for turtles under the sea or simply reporting a nesting site. Nia Douglas, 284 News.